Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to do something different today. We're not going to really be working on anything, but I'm going to go over all the modifications I've done to my 1960 CJ-5. I believe a lot of these modifications will benefit you as far as safety goes and also performance. So let's get started. All right, so the first modification I recommend, and this is going to be my #1 pick overall, is a dual reservoir master cylinder. The originals only had a single reservoir, which means if you had a leak in anywhere in your brake system, regardless if it was the front or the rear portion of the brake system, you would lose all your brake fluid and then lose all your brakes. So there are a number of different manufacturers that make a dual reservoir master cylinder conversion kit. Basically, it involves cutting out the old bracket for the original master cylinder, bolting in the new bracket, and then also with the new master cylinder. In a later video, I will go over the items needed for this and also for the next modification. Alright, so my second modification slash upgrade is disc brakes. Disc brakes are going to offer you way more braking performance. You're going to have less headache than the original 9-inch drums as far as keeping them adjusted and braking all at the same time. You can order kits that have all the components needed, the backing plates, the calipers, and the rotors. But in a later video, I'll show you all the components you need. Basically, it'd be the low dollar version. It's going to perform the same way. It's just going to cost you a lot less money, but you are going to have to get your hands dirty and, spend some extra time getting those parts from junkyards and all that stuff. All right, so number 3 on the list is going to be locking hubs. Locking hubs are going to be essential on keeping wear down on the driveline. When these Jeeps rolled off the factory, they didn't have locking hubs. So basically, even if you're in two-wheel drive, going 45, 50 miles an hour down the road, you're trying to turn your front differential, your front drive shaft was spinning, and also the front portion of the transfer case was spinning. So these are a big upgrade on, keeping wear down and also gain a little bit of fuel mileage. These particular hubs are dual-matics. I believe these were only produced for about 10 or 15 years before the company went out of business. They are period correct for the Jeep. Other hub manufacturers you have, Warren is still in business and making hubs for these. I believe Omix Adam makes some. And then you can also find some period correct ones on eBay, such as these dual-matics, older Warrens, and I believe Selecto Serve was another brand that would be period correct for these. All right, number 4 on the list is going to be an Overdrive. Basically, an Overdrive is going to have this Jeep comfortably do between 50 and 60 miles an hour without putting too much strain on the engine. Typically, with these Jeeps that have the 4-cylinder with the 538 gears, you're going to be doing 45, 50 tops, and the engine's going to be screaming around 3,000 RPM, which these engines don't like high RPMs. The Overdrive gives you a 25% gear reduction in any gear, and it's fully synchronized. So basically, you can use it as a splitter. So, you can go 1 low, 1 high, then 2 low, 2 high, et cetera, et cetera. And it's also, you can have an overdrive in reverse, you can overdrive it in reverse, and also high and low range on the transmission. So, in essence, it turns a conventional 3-speed transmission into a 12-speed when you add the low range on your transfer case. Here's the overdrive from the bottom. It connects right into the transfer case. You'll remove that gear that I showed you on the MB video. Basically, that main gear that comes out, and a planetary setup takes the place of that gear, and then the shifter portion of the overdrive bolt onto the back of the transfer case. So moving on to number 5 on modifications I've done to this Jeep is a PTO. So I have an overdrive and a PTO mounted to the back of the overdrive. Basically, the reason I got this PTO is to run a PTO winch. I have a Ramsey winch with a Ramsey PTO. So you have a rear output and then also a front output. One one thing I am still looking for is a rear PTO box so you can run conventional 540 RPM tractor implements. All right, moving on to number 6 is going to be the Ramsey PTO winch. This is period correct for the Jeep. This one was produced in the late 50s. It's a 6,000 pound capacity winch. It's real useful. You don't have to worry about a battery. It's real strong. You don't have to, worry about the winch overheating. As long as the engine runs and the, drive shaft works, it's going to pull you out. Really, the biggest disadvantage is, trying to run this drive shaft. I got it real snaked in here between the exhaust and the bell housing. Yeah, so I had to make this drive shaft custom. I had to make a pillow bearing with a bracket that bolted to the cross member, and use some 3/4 keyed shaft for basically, like a air conditioned fan motor on your big air conditions, and it works great. I've used it multiple times to pull other people out and also pull myself out when I've gotten stuck. Number 7 on the list is going to be an electronic ignition kit, basically eliminating the old points and condenser setup that was found on these. It's going to give you easier starts, a lot less maintenance, and also I got a 40,000 volt coil, so I'm running a little bit hotter spark plug in here. I don't have to go through spark plugs as much with them fouling out. Down here in Florida, it gets real humid, so I was having issues with keeping the points cleaned and starting in the humid conditions. And ever since I put this in, I've had nothing but great things to say about it. It's been a real lifesaver in making the Jeep more reliable. Number 8 on the list is a GM one-wire alternator. I do have the original generator for this Jeep, which I will put back in at a later date. I couldn't get it dialed in right with the voltage regulator, and instead of just messing with it, I went and spent $70 on a brand new one-wire alternator and made my own bracket, because you can't use a generator bracket for this alternator. Number 9 on the list is going to be turn signals. Obviously, with today's traffic, we're going to need turn signals. These Jeeps originally didn't come with turn signals. If you do find one of these that did have turn signals, someone put them in. Also, number 10 is going to be electric wiper motors. These originally were vacuum operated. Instead of running all the vacuum lines and trying to track down the original wiper motors, I just went ahead and got a set of new electric ones. Alright y'all, that's going to conclude today's video. I hope these 10 modifications helped you out. Most important ones to me are going to be that dual reservoir master cylinder, the disc brakes, and the overdrive. That's really going to increase the performance of the Jeep and make it a lot easier to drive on these modern roads with all this traffic. So stay tuned. I'm going to do a video on the components needed for the disc brake conversion, along with how to use the PTO winch. They're pretty obscure. Normally everyone's just used to pressing a button with a winch, but this is a little bit more involved. So, and also we're going to keep plugging away at the MB. I should have those parts here in the next few days, post a video on that. And also we're going to be working on the, continue working on the F-head, which here you can see this is an F-head here that's completed. So, all right, well, y'all have a good one.